Hey guys, how are you? Another day with John and Brandon here. John, how are you,
Oh,
buddy?
all good. All good. How's it going,
Awesome,
Brandon?
awesome. I'm good. Another start to a great week here, bud.
Yeah, I need a little coffee though.
That's it. That's it. I don't have a coffee today for coffee with John and Brandon. I actually left it in the other room. I can't believe it.
We'll
Just
have to
reminded
stop
me.
right now. Bye, everybody.
That's
Just
it.
shut it off.
Yeah, bye. Okay. All right. So, what are we going to do today? We got a really packed day, guys. So, what we're going to do is we're going to talk about the 90,000 person lottery that we were discussing. But before that, I saw a tweet today. Somebody had actually broken down the numbers for the budget. We were just chatting about this before we dove in. So normally, what happens in Canada is we have a budget. We haven't had one for a little while, and it's about all the money that we're going to spend. But there's always key areas that they're going to spend money on. So I saw somebody had broken down the numbers for the tweets, or in a tweet for immigration. So, are you ready,
Yeah.
John? Did you see
Lay it
this?
on. No, lay it on me, man.
Okay. So there was four things. There was 428 million to replace GCMS. So why don't you
Oh,
explain what GCMS is?
okay, for everybody out there, GCMS are basically an internal computer system at IRCC where they put in the notes. And so when they refuse somebody's application or approve it or whatever, the actual reasons are listed by the officer. And so we're always having to dig up copies of these to find out actually what's going on.
That's right. So GCMS what was it? It was CAPEX and the FOSS system. They actually amalgamated it into this global case management system, and then I guess they're going to replace
Yeah.
it. So, and I'm sure a lot of people would be excited about that. 54 million for temporary foreign worker and international mobility program audits. So
Yep.
they're going to be
Yep.
looking a little bit more of that. That's probably pretty good. 15 million to a racialized newcomer woman pilot. I don't know what that is. We'll find out, I'm sure. And 75 million to the call center, which, woohoo, if they can reduce wait times, less than 75 minutes, $1 million a minute, that would be well worth the money that would be spent, because I know that everybody loves calling that call center. Okay.
Yeah.
You want to dive in here?
Yeah, so like 90,000. Wow, that's I like how you put it. It's a lottery, right? It's we're trying to pick this apart as best we can. There's going to be more to come in the following weeks with coffee with Brandon and I, but this is what we're looking at today.
Yeah.
90,000.
Yeah.
And when we put when we say lottery, it's not quite the traditional lottery in the sense that you throw your name in and you get picked out so you can go and apply for permanent residence. But there is a gambling aspect to the way that the government has rolled out this program. Again, I don't want to over criticize the department. They've got an impossible task sometimes, but we're seeing the effects of policy that may perhaps not have been that well thought out in terms of execution. So we'll see.
Yeah. So John's always a lot more metered than I am. It's a total lottery, and quite frankly, like as he said, not in a traditional sense, but basically we're going to get into some of the caps and some of the things, but we're repeating history here, and it was kind of the thing that we were supposed to be fixing back in 2015, but it seems we're back at it. And you got to understand there's a lot of politics that are being played here with different caps, et cetera, et cetera. So here's what we're going to do, guys. We are going to go through the international graduates today based on what we know. We're going to, on Thursday, we're going to go through the worker streams. And then hopefully by next week, I know that there's, I was speaking to another colleague of ours yesterday, and she was saying, Roxanne, shout out to Roxanne. She was saying that the CBA is having a technical briefing with IRCC, so they're doing that. And I believe that our industry association, because nobody knows what's going on with this, so we made these announcements. But what we're going to do today is we're going to parse through what we know for international graduates. And then on Thursday, we also have another guest coming. We've got a guy coming in from CELPIP, because as you may or may not know, well, actually, I know John knows because we were talking about it yesterday. Like all of the things that people are having problems with is the language test.
Yeah, booking a language test, like people are looking at dates 2-3 months in advance.
Yeah,
there's a bit of a scramble going on for people to get what they need to get done before this all ends in November.
I think the language test is the biggest block for most people, it seems, right now. So let's dive into our slides here, man. Okay. So background: there's 40,000 applications for international graduates, May 6th to November 5th. Okay, and guys, these are taken right out of the announcements that are the backgrounder that was put out on April 14th. Okay, so this is what it says, but we're going to break down the information more and give some context to that, which I think is important. Okay, by granting permanent resident to international graduates, the economy will continue to benefit from their training and expertise, blah, 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 blah. Okay. It's the background.
Can I ask you a question, Brandon? Because
yes,
as you said, let's pick this apart. 40,000 applications.
Okay.
Do you think there are 40,000 graduates in Canada right now who are not in a position to apply for permanent residence under the Canadian Experience Class? Like they haven't got the year of work experience. Are there 40,000 graduates in Canada who graduated, they got their diploma or degree, they meet the criteria? Do you think there'll be a big uptick in this program right up to the 40,000 mark?
I don't know either. I got so many things to say on that. So yes, the numbers do support it in terms of people that have come here for student visas. Is there 40,000 people that don't have work experience? Yes, I would think so. If somebody qualifies under CEC or qualifies under this program, where would I send them? Where would you send them?
Well, that is a good question, because, and this goes back, guys, what Brandon and I are going to be touching upon throughout our conversations, is we have concerns about whether or not the rollout of this is going to be effective, whether or not the procedure and processing an application is going to be timely, and whether or not it's going to be too cumbersome. Where if you're eligible under the Canadian Experience Class, that's kind of a tried and true method. It's all online. Normally your PR is shot out the other end for you in 6 months. So, you
should air quote that 6 months.
Yeah, well, 6 months. Usually the department's pretty good on that. The majority of them are done in less than a year. Let me put it that way. I think also going on to the next bullet point to November 5th, I think there is a fair chance that this date of November 5th will be extended because of the challenges that are going to be coming with processing. I just don't think that everybody who is eligible to apply under one of these, or this program, is going to be able to meet that November 5th deadline. Now, we'll know more about that on Thursday when we talk with the CELPIP guy. He can give us a better idea of available dates.
Yeah, hopefully. It's funny. I called him up. His name's Patrick, by the way, and I called him up and I asked him to join us because I'm going to ask him a few things, and not to put him on the spot. I just, we were going to talk about maybe get a read on what's going on with CELPIP. I know that their system crashed. Anyways, let's dive into let's get into the meat of this. Okay. You want to take this one, John?
Study requirements. So, I'm not going to read right off that. As we talk, you guys can refer to this for the announcement. But I was talking to Brandon the other day. We were mulling over this. And what it looks like is that if you've got a degree or a diploma from a Canadian institution, and it's at least 8 months, then you're eligible. You meet the study requirements. Where there is going to be an issue here is if you have a certificate, a qualification not quite at the diploma or degree level, and it's a certificate and it's not of a certain length, I believe it's 16 months, you may not be eligible to apply to this program. So you have to take a very, very careful, close look at what you got in terms of a Canadian qualification, and two, how long has it been, was it for? And this we'll go into this a bit more on the next slide, actually.
Yeah, let's go into that because I think that's actually really important. I think we need to, this is actually
on that,
yeah, let's focus let's focus like big time on this, because I think that this right here is one of those traps.
Yes,
you pointed this out when we were discussing this, and it's actually, if you read it, it's contradictory. So
yeah,
go for it, John.
Well, everybody, go. Let's look at that first bullet point there. A degree, associate, bachelor's, master's, or doctorate must be a degree issued completion of a program at least 8 months in duration. Okay. Now, again, I'm trying to boil this down to their essence. The one that Brandon and I flagged as a point of contention was the third check mark, and then that first bullet point afterwards. A diploma or certificate where the following conditions are met. A diploma or certificate, each program of study must be at least 8 months in duration. And the word "and" in our industry is always the sort of linchpin. Or, like, we won't get too nerdy on you guys, but and or when the government writes this kind of stuff can change everything. So again, to go back, study of at least 8 months in duration, and the combined length of the credential must be equivalent to a 2-year credential, at least 16 months in duration. So that is going to be the key that you need to focus on when you hold up your Canadian diploma degree, and whether or not, or certificate, and whether or not it meets that criteria. Now, of course, if you have any questions about that specifically, you may want to talk to an immigration consultant to go over it in greater detail. But what do you think, Brandon?
So it's a little like there's a few things in there. So firstly, a degree, associate, bachelor, master's, or doctorate. I don't know. I've never seen a bachelor's degree that's less than 3 years, really. Have you? Is there a 1-year bachelor's degree out there?
Not that I know, but there's lots of 1-year master's degrees. Lots of
master's degrees. But that's fine. So I get that. But again, there's that. So that's fine. Maybe we're just putting that in there. A degree, diploma, or certificate. So I think where a lot of people need to hone in on is, so a degree, diploma, or certificate, that's fine, right? So that covers, college, that covers university, and it covers like post-grad. Issued on completion of any program duration leading to an occupation in a skilled trade. Okay, so that's fine. Or, and this is it, one or more diploma, certificate, or attestation where the following conditions are met. So this is where I think it gets interesting, is the diploma, certificate, because they're saying 8 months there for the degree, right? But then they're also saying, and the combined length. So yeah, that essentially, if you've done a 1-year post-grad at a college, you might not actually qualify for this program. So yeah. I think that's a big trap, and that's what kind of stood out on that right there. Okay. Yeah. All right. For greater clarity, each combined credential must meet the eligible program requirements as defined in A, including the completion no earlier than January 2017. Okay, so remember, it was going back 4 years. So that's where that comes in. Let's move on here, man. All right. So authorization to study has been authorized pursuant to the Act and regulations to study throughout their education in Canada. Basically, you got to be on a study permit. Okay.
Yeah, because as that change came in about 5 years ago now, I think it was 2014. So that would be longer. That'd be 7 years ago. That the ability to work 20 hours a week during studies and full-time during breaks was sort of built into a study permit. So anybody here on a study permit almost definitely will meet that requirement automatically. The authorization to work, be employed in Canada with a valid work permit or authorization to work. You want to pick this apart for us, Brandon?
I do, but before I do that, guys, I just want to remind you, if you're watching live, you can throw some questions or comments in. We really appreciate all that.
Yeah.
And I just wanted to give a shout out here because Jarrell, watching from the Philippines. Thanks, man. Really appreciate that. And, if you have any questions, please throw them in there. But I always like to acknowledge people that are there. So, please do that. So type in whatever you want, because we're here and we're ready to chat. Okay, authorization to work. So be employed in Canada with a valid permit or authorization to work.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so the thing that kind of I think about with this is valid permit,
Mm-hmm.
and then you look at the time between a postgrad, right? When you're applying for it and when you can actually start working, right? So, for instance, do you have a work permit, like a postgrad work permit, for instance, if you're
Mm-hmm.
a student, or are you able, or authorization to work pursuant to the Act and regulations, which would mean, like, yes, I do not have my actual permit in hand. However, I've applied for my postgrad work permit. And I've started to work.
That's R18. Again, getting nerdy. That's section 186V or of the regulations, I believe. It's in section R186.
Yeah.
And it says basically, if you've finished your period of study, you're done, you've graduated, or you've met the requirements of the degree, and you've applied for your work permit, then you're authorized to work, right? And then you're covered. And then you met the requirements, and that is authorization to work pursuant to the Act and regulations. So as long as if you've just recently graduated, you don't have your post-graduation work permit, but you've applied for it, you're fine.
Yeah, and I've got somebody in that situation right now that I'm actually, putting through. Now, she doesn't actually have the work experience for CEC. So, we've had a brief conversation about this, but I'm going to go on the record with it. If I have the option to go with CEC or an FSW or something of the traditional express entry nature, traditional economic program, I'm going to go that route because, again, I think we need to get into the quota stuff as well, and we'll talk about that. All right, let's keep moving here just for the sake of time for everybody. We got another comment here. Let's throw that up. Say hello, Winchester. All right. Do you process if you have an employer from the Philippines? Okay. Not sure what employer. Not sure. If it's under the caregiver program or if it's an LMIA based work permit. John and I obviously do all that stuff. So yeah. So just reach out to us, send us a thing at the end of the thing. At the end of our time here, we'll give you our contact details, or just send us a message through Facebook, and we can figure out how to sort you out. We have Facebook user. Hi guys, Big Sister's watching. I think we know who that is. Give that a shout out. We'll keep the mystery there. And Ola Nid, how long before the application should be employed? Is there any requirement for the company for revenues year, number of employees? That's a good question. We're going to be covering more of the worker side on Thursday. I think we should leave that because we're dealing with the students. But if you are a student, it doesn't look like there's a requirement to be employed. You just have to be employed in Canada with a valid permit or authorization. So there's no time frame at the time of application. So at the time that you actually file it. So, guys, like, we're kind of unpacking this as we go too, right? So let's keep moving here. But don't worry, over the next week or so, keep tuning in because we're breaking this down day by day. Stay tuned. Yep. Okay, language requirement. Oh, the language requirement. Oh, Here we go. Here we go.
And again,
All right.
I think if you've already studied in Canada, you're not going to have a problem meeting CLB5. I don't think you're going to have a problem with that. The issue is, can you get a test date, right?
Yes.
And so I think, there's going to be issues surrounding that. Because of course there's CELPIP, and again, we're talking to Patrick from CELPIP on Thursday. IELTS is also available, but we've heard reports of appointments for writing the IELTS stretching beyond the summer.
I have one client who just actually booked his test for November, which he emailed me in and spoke to me about that, and I was like, maybe we need to have a little chit chat about that. But anyways, that's a little too long.
You may even get people traveling abroad to write the exam and coming back to Canada and quarantining themselves just so they can get it. I mean, it's going to be interesting to see how this plays out.
Yeah, you had heard something about that, didn't you?
I've heard from a colleague of ours who is in the transportation industry that some people who are in and out of Canada a lot for their work are stopping off abroad and going to be writing the test outside the country.
Which makes sense.
Yeah, of course.
Because there's a huge backlog right now, and the CELPIP site actually crashed. Right. Just to give you guys a context of what a CLB5 is. So a CLB5 for a CELPIP is 5 right across the board. And for writing, listening, and speaking, it's an IELTS General 5, and it's a 4 in reading. 4 in reading, writing, listening, and speaking, 5. Okay. So that's quite frankly, if you're studying here, you're going to, you need a 6, right? So usually on an academic. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. So guys, the biggest bottleneck here is the language requirement. So I had a consultation with somebody on the weekend. They were asking about it. I'm going to do a follow-up with them because I didn't, in fairness, I didn't have all of the details. And I said, look, we'll do all this, and then we're going to do a consultation and follow up and see exactly where you fit. But what I told her is get your language test right now, like right now. Hang up the phone with me and go get it now. And if you can't get it now, then get it after that. Just keep like boom, 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 like anything, IELTS, whatever. That's the big bottleneck. Yeah. Valid temp resident status.
That's also important. I mean, if you find yourself in your situation, you're all ready to go, and you've fallen out of status, you got to restore yourself in. I mean, stay in status, guys. Keep that work permit valid. If you can't keep it, if you're not on a work permit for any reason, get yourself back into status. And valid temporary resident status can simply just being here as a visitor.
Visitor. Yeah.
Don't fall into that trap either.
So reside in Canada with valid temp resident status or be eligible to restore status. So if you've fallen out of status, you're going to have to be within the restoration. And I think that gets a little bit fuzzy because we have different interim policies with COVID, but normally that's within 90 days, and be physically present in Canada. So that's important. I think that's pretty self-explanatory. You got to be in Canada, physically present at the time of application. All right.
So Brandon, this raises an interesting question we should probably address. What if we have a potential client or a listener here who meets all the criteria, language, say they've got language tests which are not 2 years old, so they're still valid, they're sitting in hand, they got a diploma. What happens if they're not in Canada right now? What happens if they've, say they graduated last year and then went back to the Philippines or Britain? What do they do now? How are they going to get into Canada to get that valid temporary resident status when you're not allowed to enter the country as a visitor right now? So that's a nasty catch-22.
Yeah, and you got to be physically present in Canada at the time of application.
Yeah.
Right. So that's actually, and then it's compounded with all the COVID restrictions and all of the other stuff.
Because the COVID restrictions right now saying the orders in council from cabinet say you're not permitted inside the country for tourism, recreational, or entertainment purposes.
Or non-essential, right?
Non-essential. And this, to come into the country to submit a PR application, you could make that argument to CBSA at the border.
It's essential to my well-being.
Yeah, interesting. But this is good. I hadn't thought about that right until actually about 2 minutes ago. But this is now an issue that is going to happen to those who are eligible under this program, but who just through bad luck are just unfortunately not here right now.
Yeah. Yeah. Cool. All right.
Intent to reside. Last one?
Yeah, go. I'm just reading some of the comments here.
So the intent to reside is pretty clear, guys. You've got to intend to reside in a province other than Quebec. If for some reason you really want to reside in Quebec, then you'll have to look at one of the other programs that are designed for people who are destined to Quebec.
Yeah. Okay. Let's move on to the next slide here. Submission. Actually, here, before I do that, because there's some comments in here and I got to address them. So it actually says, don't post these comments, just state them. So it's actually open. It's on the it's on the open Facebook feed here. So the essential worker, good point there. But we're going to do essential workers and stuff on Thursday. We're only sticking to that. CLB 5 is only required for stream of graduates. Yes, and it actually is for the essential worker stuff. So it is actually lower. And don't post these comments, just state them. Well, they're already posted. So yeah, we got all that stuff. Okay, and let's move on. Submission. Have stated an application for permanent residence using the forms provided by the department. Okay, so obviously you have to apply for the program with the forms for this public policy, which must include the time of application. At the time of application, all proof necessary to satisfy an offer that the applicant meets the conditions, of this public policy, except evidence required to demonstrate physical presence in Canada at the time of application approval. It's pretty self-explanatory, yeah?
Yeah.
Did you have anything you want to add to that?
No, just, submit, follow the rules, follow the requirements, how the government wants it done. You got to jump through that hoop, right? Apply online. I mean, they say apply online, but there's no clear direction on how to apply online at this stage. To be announced, I guess.
Well, so as it's been, as I understand it, we can't use our rep portal, which means we have our own authorized representative portals where we can pool all of our applications together. It's going to be a different application system, but more details to come as soon as that stuff comes out. We'll let you guys know for sure. Have submitted an application using electronic means, apply online. Foreign nationals who, because of a disability, are unable to meet the requirement to make an application, submit any document or provide signature or information, blah, 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 blah. They can, there's alternatives. So, again, this is something that the government, we preach equality in this country. So again, if somebody has a disability where they can't use a computer, that's actually somewhat discriminatory. And that's also been an issue when they were doing the old, the parent-grandparent, because the only application system they had was was online. So they're making concessions for that. So I think they've learned something out of that. Foreign national is not inadmissible under the Act and regulations, right?
Yeah, if after, if before this program was announced and after you graduated, if you or a dependent has committed a criminal offense or been charged with a criminal offense or has fallen seriously ill, you're going to have to look into whether or not your admissibility to Canada, has been compromised. But hardly, very, very, very rare that happens.
Yeah, well, in terms of the medical side, right? But I think medical inadmissibilities are a little bit rare. But depending, if we just spoke about this. We were talking about criminal inadmissibilities with DUIs and whatnot too.
Yeah.
So so be careful with that. But I'm sure most of you are fine. Okay, let's wrap this up real quick because we got to talk about family members who are in Canada and who are overseas. Okay, so I'll do this one. You can do the overseas. In Canada, family members of principal applicant who apply for permanent resident, blah, blah, blah. Okay, foreign nationals in Canada, pretty self-explanatory. Included as an accompanying family member in an application for permanent residence by a principal applicant under the public policy. Okay, can't be non-accompanying. Okay, and the difference is with that is that so accompanying versus non-accompanying. I don't want to go too far down the rabbit hole here, but for instance, you can make an application for permanent residence and you can declare your spouse or your kids or your dependents as non-accompanying. However, if required, they're going to need a police or criminal background check, and they're also going to need to have a medical done. Everybody will need the medicals done, so they have to be medically examined and they have to be criminally examined as well, criminally, non-criminal, whatever. They have to be examined under both of those areas. Otherwise, R1179D says that if you don't do that prior to permanent residence, then you're forever excluded to be sponsored at a later date under family class. So, but this one here, they're saying, you have to be, if you're in Canada, you have to be an accompanying family member. So there's not the discretion there either. Okay.
Yeah, that's interesting. Yeah.
So because under express entry, you can have accompanying or non-accompanying, but under this program, you have to be accompanying.
Yeah.
Foreign national meets the definition of a family member. Okay. So that's a whole different thing. So spouse, dependent, child, along those lines. Right? Can't bring your cousins and aunties and uncles and all the other stuff there. They're not covered under dependent family member. Okay. Foreign national is not inadmissible pursuant to the act. So obviously no naughty bits for the spouse or even age majority kids, whatnot. Delegated officer has determined that the principal applicant meets all the conditions, right, to receive permanent residence pursuant to the public policy. Okay, let's dive into this. I'll give you this one, John. It's pretty much the same.
Pretty much the same. The only tweak is, the foreign national residing overseas has been included as an accompanying family member in an application for PR by a principal applicant of the public policy. So there too, am I reading it right, Brandon? They must be included as well?
Yes.
Yeah.
Everybody has to be included. So there is no non-accompanying.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
So everybody has to be medically examined and everybody has to be criminally examined, et cetera, et cetera. This is probably another, we don't know the answer to this yet, right? We don't know what that's going to look like.
Right. So you know what, we may have to revisit this a bit more. There's the requirement to force somebody to be accompanied. I think we may have to admit here that we're not 100% sure on that, and maybe we may have to revisit this, and we can mention it.
Well, we don't know. We're gonna have to figure all this out right now because we don't know. But this is just what they say, right?
Right.
Has to be included as an accompanying family member for permanent residence under the public policy. So that's taken right out of the announcement. All right, let's move on here. Hold on one sec. Okay, this is it. We're wrapping up. Okay, so if you guys want to get in touch with us, they have to, you can join our Facebook community, or you can grab a copy of the book if you want, or whatever. But we're going to be doing the broadcast through the community. And if you want to do a consultation or whatnot, you can certainly hit us up there and we can help you out with that. All right. John, did you have any parting words here? No, aside from just like I said, tune in Thursday, guys. This is a rolling developments, and we're addressing them as they come out. Okay, cool, awesome. Yeah. Okay. Sorry, there's a few comments in here. Bianca, let me just hit Bianca's comment real quick because she posted it twice. I'm a co-op international student, so I have both study and work permits. However, I couldn't get my diploma because I don't have the co-op requirement.
Yeah.
Employers were saying they couldn't hire me because my permit is expiring this November. Would I still be eligible? Wow.
As far as I see it, based on your description, Bianca, I don't think so.
No, I don't think so either.
No, you've got to have that diploma.
Yeah, because you haven't actually completed. Because you don't have the co-op requirement. If it's something that's part of the program, so yeah.
I would focus on seeing if you can get your school to finish the co-op requirement, graduate, and then what, just get that diploma. That's the number one thing to focus on. And then once you got the diploma, then you can start considering what options are available for PR.
Yeah, and the other thing on that too is that just to kind of give you something to latch on to with that. The next couple of years for immigration are going to be like bumper years in terms of opportunities for people to be able to file. So, you need to finish out your program, obviously, and get all that stuff sorted out. And, then you should be good to go. Should be good to go. You'll have opportunities, but that's a very general statement because we don't know what your situation is exactly. All right, let's leave it at that, John. Did you have any parting words?
Nope, we're all good.
Okay, cool. All right, take care, guys. Listen, this Thursday, we're going to be diving into the worker component of things. And then what we're going to do is we're going to have a guy on from CELPIP because we're going to talk about a few different things there with respect to that. Okay, so everybody have a good one. We'll talk to you soon, and thanks again.
See you later, guys.
Take care.